Tripathi, working as Assistant Professor in Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Greater Noida, which is being affiliated from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow. In today's topic, I am going to deliver a lecture on environment, all the problems related to the environment, their consequences, their objective, their scope, all things in detail. In this lecture, I will also explain what is natural resource, how many types of natural resource, all these things we will discuss here. Now, let us start. First, I will explain with our introduction part that what is environment, what is environmental science. These all things come under the BP code BP 206T. That is, first we will discuss here the introduction part of our environment. According to Douglas and Holland in 1947, environment is a word which describes in aggregate all of the extrinsic, means the external force, which influence the condition, which affects the life, which also affects the nature, behavior and the growth as well as development and maturation of living organism. In simple word, we can also say that environment is a place where both living as well as non-living component lives together, means they interact with each other. And one thing I will also explain, what is environmental science. Environmental science means the science behind our environment. All these things we will discuss in detail here. I will also explain environmental science is also called as multidisciplinary nature because it depends, all the sciences, all the branches are depend on our environment. So, let us see here, environmental science is called the multidisciplinary as it brings about the interaction between all the natural world, means all the natural worlds are interacted here. In this, I will also explain the study of environmental component is called multidisciplinary nature. It includes all the disciplines such as science, humanities, commerce, technology, climatology, geography and other disciplines. In this slide, you see here that environmental science is in the center and all the sciences like life science, physical science here, you also see the civil engineering, chemical engineering, hydraulic, nanotechnology, these all depend on our environmental science, as well as economics, sociology, law, education, management, mass communication, all these depend on our environmental science by the way of management and awareness program. Our mathematics, statistics, computer science, these all depend by the modeling way on our environmental science. Means all these sciences are depend on our environmental science. Now, in this second, we will discuss here the objective. This is very much important point, that what are the objective, why we are going to study this subject, what is the scope of this subject after having the knowledge of our environment, what the things we are able to handle. These all things we will discuss in detail because it is a very burning topic, that in the environment where we are living, where we are surviving, we have to protect that place. That is the reason UGC has complied, UGC has made the compulsory to all standard that we have to study the environmental education. From you see that from lower standard to the upper standard, we all are reading our environmental sciences. Why? The reason behind it is that it is very much burning topic. Our environment is suffering from so many disasters like air pollution, water pollution, our biodiversity is also affected, our environmental system, the nature of our environment is being affected. So, to avoid, to stop this, to resolve these all problems, we have to focus on that environmental science. Now, first here we will discuss the objective. The objective and the guiding principle of our environmental study is, according to the UNESCO in 1971, the objective of environmental studies are mentioned here. First, we have to create the awareness about the environmental problems among the people, not only for the student, we have to create awareness in each and every group of the people. Okay. Now, the second part is imparting basic knowledge about the environment and its allied problems. We have to impart the basic education, how we are going to resolve, how we are going to solve the environmental problem. We have to impart the education, we have to impart the knowledge to the coming generation, to our coming generation. We have to give them the knowledge how we are going to solve all these problems. This is also our objective. Now, the third one is developing an attitude of concern for the environment. We have to concern, we have to protect our environment for degradation. Now, next, motivating public to participate in environment protection and environmental improvement. We have to motivate all the people who are living in our environment that we have to participate in our environmental protection and improvement act. Fifth is acquiring skills to help the concerned individual in identifying and solving the environmental problem. This is very much important that we have to identify the problem, we have to find the problem, whether our environment is facing that like air pollution, water pollution, how we are going to affect. We see that when there is a air pollution, when there is a water pollution, we all are suffering, all age group are suffering from this problem. So, we have to identify, we have to find that problem, and then we have to solve, or we have to settle down all these problems from which we are suffering from. Now, what are the scopes of environmental studies? After having a knowledge about your environmental studies or about your environmental sciences, there are number of scope. I have listed some of them, that after having a knowledge, you can also explore yourself in our as a environmental consultant, as a toxicologist, environmental manager, environmental engineer, conservation officer. This is very much coming burning post, waste management officer, scientist in water and air quality, public health practitioners. All these according behind this there are also so many posts which I have not mentioned here. Now, after that I will also discuss in this slide that what are natural resources. You have to know that what do you mean by the natural resource, how it is important, how many types of natural resource, what is the benefit of natural resource. All these things we will discuss here in detail. Okay. A natural resource is a source of product that are inherent to earth. Inherent means they are gifted to our earth from our nature in a free form. Natural resource include renewable as well as non-renewable resource. Means our natural resource is classified into two parts. First is renewable and second is non-renewable resource. Here you also see a natural resource are exploited to create the product and services that we depend on. The natural resource, they create the product, they provide the product and the services on which we are depend on. Okay. The natural resource extraction cause great environmental disruptions. Means these natural resource extraction, when we are going to extract our natural resource, they will also cause disruptions in our environmental problem. Now, here you see what are the values of our natural resource. After having a knowledge about your natural resource, we have to also see that there are some three basic values of our natural resource. First is economic value, third is legal value, and second is legal, and third is aesthetic value. Economic value means the production of things from a natural resource. All the things which we are going to produce from a natural resource, they are termed as economic value. Legal value means clean air which we are taking, fresh water which we are taking, healthy animal and human being. These all are the legal value of our natural resource. Aesthetic value means beauty of village, how our village is beautified, road, ponds and their agriculture field. These all comes under the aesthetic value of our natural resource. After that we will discuss, first we have highlighted on the what is the type of natural resource. here we will discuss in detail about the type. There are basically two types, as we have discussed you in our previous slide, that first is renewable and second is non-renewable resource. On the different basis of the origin, on the basis of abundance, availability, all these are classified into 5 basic parts. The first part I will discuss here on the basis of origin. On the basis of origin of our natural resource, it is classified into 2 parts, biotic resource and abiotic resource. Biotic resource examples are wildlife, fossil fuel and coal and petroleum. These all comes under the biotic resource. Abiotic resource means gold, iron, copper, silver and many more. Now, the second part on which we are going to classify our natural resource is on the basis of abundance and availability. On the abundance and availability of our natural resource, we are also going to classify them into 2 parts, exhaustible and inexhaustible. The exhaustible resource are, the examples are coal, petroleum, mineral oil, they all are exhaustible resource, and inexhaustible resource which we can protect, which we can restore. These examples are solar energy, atomic, wind energy and tidal energy. On the basis of renewability, it can also be again classified into 2 basic parts, renewable resource, non-renewable resource, which can be renewed, which can be regenerated. Okay. The example of renewable resources are sunlight. As we all know that sunlight, solar energy can be, and air, wildlife and many more. Non-renewable resources are fossil fuel and uranium. They are the non-renewable resources. They cannot be renewed in a given period of time. Next, the categories on the basis of recyclability. It can be recycled. So, recyclability ki basis pe we can also classify it into 2 parts, recyclable resource and non-recyclable resource. Recyclable resource means the resource which can be recycled. For example, ore of aluminum, copper, etc. These can be recycled, and the non-recyclable resources are the fossil fuel and uranium. These are, and the last is on the basis of stage of development. How our natural resource is going to be development. In this, we are also classified it into 4 basic parts. First is the potential resource. Potential resource examples are the petroleum, sedimentary rocks and many more, etc. Actual resource are wood. This is our actual resource. Petroleum being used, etc. Reserve resource are, it is a part of actual resource developed profitably in future, and stock resources are the hydrogen which we see. Okay. Now, here we see in this slide that the type of natural resources are, as we have discussed earlier in our previous slide, that the resource, natural resource is classified into 2 basic parts. First is renewable and second is non-renewable resource. Renewable resource means which can be renewed, and non-renewable resource which cannot be renewed in a shorter period of time. For example, here you see the renewable resources are solar energy, air, wind, water, tide, soil, plants, and the non-renewable resources are the fossil fuel, oil, coal, natural gas, metallic minerals, non-metallic minerals. These are the non-renewable resource. Now, what are the basic or important natural resource we are going to study in our environmental science? There are so many important resource as I have listed here, but we will discuss some of them in detail in our next classes. So, here you see the important resources, natural resources are which we are gifted from our nature is land resource, water resource, air resource, forest resource, wildlife resource, mineral, energy, microbial resource. These all are the important resource which we are going in detail. Okay. Now, here we see Also the main category like renewable, what do you mean by renewable, what do you mean by non-renewable resource. So, in this slide we will discuss that a natural resource are the resource available in nature like air, water, sunlight, soil, mineral, forest and wildlife. Natural resource is mainly of two type. First is renewable and second is non-renewable resources. Renewable resource means those resources which can be replenished, which can be regenerated in a shorter period of time like air, water, sunlight and forest. And the non-renewable resource are those resources which cannot be replenished in a shorter period of time. For example, coal, petroleum, natural gas and metal. Because they take millions of years to be formed, human activities produce a lot of waste material which are thrown away into the environment. These waste cause pollution to the natural resource. By our activity, we have thrown so many unnecessary, unwanted things to our environment and they create the pollution. They create a pollution and they affect our natural resource. For that, we have to stop such type of things so that our environment is not going to be affected. Okay, after this, here this is very interesting part as I am going to explain you 3R rules to save our environment. The basic motto of this environmental study or environmental science is that we have to save our environment, because nowadays we are facing so many problems, our environment is also facing so many problems. So, we have to save our environmental science or our environment. So, to save our environment we have to focus on 3R rules. The first R rule is reduce, second is recycle and third is reuse. Okay. So, first we will discuss in detail about one by one. Reduce means using less of natural resource, avoiding wastage of natural resource. Reduce means we have to use less number of our natural resource, we have to stop on the avoidance of our wastage of our natural resource. This is called the reduce R rule, first rule of this 3R rule. Second R is recycle. Recycle means the material like paper, plastic, glass, metal and many more used for making the things can again be used for making new things. Means we have to focus on the recycling of the material. Okay. By this way we can also save our environment. And the third is reuse. Reuse means we have to use maximum time, same product we have to use in the maximum time or in a maximum manner, like means using these things again and again, like plastic bottle which we are using daily, we buy jam, pickles etc. can again be used in our kitchen for other purpose. So, we have to focus on these 3R rules to save our environment, to protect our natural resource so that we can sustain a healthy lifestyle. Now, in this slide we will see what is the need for the management of natural resource, why we are going to manage our natural resource, because this is very important topic, that there are so many needs. We wanted to save our natural resource. This is our utmost priority, that we have to save our natural resource. So, we have to manage, we have to take a proper management system by which we are going to manage our natural resource. In this slide, I will focus that all the things we use and consume are obtained from our natural resource. It is very clear that all the things, all this everything, I think not all, everything which we are using, they all come from our natural resource which we are utilizing, which we are obtained from our nature in a form of gift. Due to increase in population, and this is the problem, that due to increase in population as well as industrialization, urbanization, the demand of natural resource is going to increase. When our population is going to increase, when industrialization, urbanization, these all are going to increase, but our natural resource is limited, this is not going to increase. So, to maintain this process, we have to make an equilibrium position in both population as well as our environment. So, we have to focus a proper management system by which we are going to maintain a sustainable lifestyle for us as well as our coming generation, that we can also enjoy, we can also take the benefit of our natural resource, as well as our coming generation, our future generation can also use this natural gift. Okay. So, here I have mentioned here that the demand of natural resource is increasing and the availability is limited. So, what we have to do? We have to do a proper management system, we have to follow a proper management system for using our natural resource. So, I have given some of the points that how we are going to manage a proper, how we are going to follow a proper management of natural resource, that by which we are going to save, we are going to utilize our natural resource in a proper manner. Okay. The first point I have mentioned here, that judicious use of natural resource and avoiding wastage of natural resource. We have to not waste our natural resource, we have to save, we have to utilize, we have to save our natural resource in a proper manner. Whether it is important, we have to use, otherwise we have to store, we have to save for our coming generation. Okay. Second point which I have mentioned here, that long term planning for the use of natural resource, so that it lasts not only for the present but also for our future generation. This is this thing I have repeated several times, that we have to plan, or we have to use our natural resource in such a manner that it is present both for us as well as our future generation. Third point which I have quoted here, that exploitation of natural resource should not be the benefit for a few people, but should be distributed equally for all. Exploitation of natural resource means it should not be the benefit for the few people, but it is also very dangerous for the coming generation also. So, we have to focus, we have to have a key observation to save, to manage our natural resource properly. Fourth point which I have discussed here, that while extraction and using the natural resource, we should also plan for the safe disposal. This is very much important point, that the safe disposal of our waste, the waste which we are going to throw in our environment, they cause several problems, they cause so many they cause so many type of things in our environment, like air pollution, water pollution, environment में बहुत सारी चीज़ें disturb होती हैं. So, we have to focus, we have to plan accordingly, that we have to focus on the safe disposal of waste, so that no damage is caused to our environment, because if any damage is caused in our environment, it will affect our life, it will affect our coming generation life, it will affect our natural resource. So, to stop these things, to resolve the environmental issues problem, we have to focus on the proper management system. Now, lastly I will conclude my topic by saying that the study of natural resource have been an inseparable part of acquiring knowledge. Even since man started acquiring knowledge, it is widely studied field with no boundary of time and space. This is very vast science. Environmental science is a very vast science. In this we have to focus on so many parts, because nowadays our environment is suffering from so many type of diseases, so many type of population issues, pollution problem, global warming, all these things we are going to face. So, to avoid this, our natural resources also going to exploit. To avoid this, we have to focus our environmental issues, we have to aware on that issues, we have to educate our student that how we are going to protect, how we are going to save our environment from such an issues. So, to save our environment, we have to focus first on our natural resource, that how we are going to conserve it, how we are going to protect, because by protecting our environment we can also protect ourselves, as well as we can have a sustainable lifestyle, we can live safely, we can have a healthy lifestyle. So, for all these things we have to conserve our natural resource. Okay? For the conservation of natural resource, it is very much essential part that we have to conserve, we have to protect our natural resource which we have taken from our nature, as most of the natural resources are exhaustible and non-exhaustible. And for this, the best way which can be adopted is the sustainable development. We have to follow a sustainable development lifestyle, because the future generation also wants to enjoy and they also use our natural resource, and they can also have a sustainable lifestyle. So, my dear student, we have to focus on so many topics, that our environment is facing nowadays a very severe problem. So, to avoid, to save our environment, to save our planet, to save our natural resource, we have to focus on the so many topics, that we have to aware the people, we have to impart basic knowledge, we have to give them vital duty, that it is our vital duty that we have to protect, we have to conserve, we have to impart so many newer technology, that by which we are going to save our environment. Okay, thank you.